Delegate Jim Scott, I know, has to leave early. Also, he's represented the 53rd District that comprises the Merrifield area of Fairfax, parts of Falls Church, since 1992. And prior to that time, he was on the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, and before that, the distinguished position of high school educator. He serves on the Privileges and Elections and Appropriations Committee, including the subcommittee assignments that fund elementary, secondary, and higher education, technology oversight and government activities, as well as transportation. Jim has earned numerous awards from the Virginia Housing Coalition, the Northern Virginia Technology Council, Leadership Fairfax, Volunteer Fairfax, and the Greater Merrifield Business Association for his service and leadership, for which we thank you.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. Sorry I have to leave early. Just want to say thanks to Steve Gill. Where is Steve? Steve and I went on my first trip, last trip, hopefully not the only trip to Israel together, and when I was on the Board of Supervisors. I'll never forget it. My hope is that I'll be able to take my whole family there sometime soon, Steve. Great to be with you tonight, and I've looked at your program. It certainly is the kind of thing that I would expect to see from the Jewish Community Relations Council. A lot of major problems facing the Commonwealth. Two of them are, of course, transportation and health care. Transportation, Dick and I and several others were at the session with Vivian, Tim, this morning, listening to the builders and contractors. They're interested in transportation. I'm interested in transportation. But the key question is one that I thought that Dick handled extremely well, and that is that general fund money, which is for education and all other purposes, we need more money for transportation, but we don't need to take it from the general fund to rob education. And I'm not going to support that. Let me say that right up front, and I feel very strongly about it. The other thing that's facing the Commonwealth, of course, is what to do about health care, and I suspect everybody here tonight will talk about what are we going to do about health care and how are we going to deal with the Obamacare. Well, let me say this. What we do know is that we've got millions of kids and individuals who don't have adequate health care in the United States. And we also know that the Affordable Care Act was found constitutional. The question is, are we going to be able to implement it in a fashion that will ensure that our hospitals and our citizens are adequately provided health care and can get it when they need it? Now, I think most of you know that health care is important to me because I worked for a long time for an Nova Health System. But it's not only important for me for that, but because I have a family that's going to rely on increasingly on health care. And I think that we all understand that that is a critical issue that we need to face together, not separately. And I want to say another word of thanks to Dick Sassaw this morning for how he put together a very short speech about how we can't take money from our general fund in order to fund some of the the other great needs, including health care. Thank you all very much. I'm sorry to leave early.
Delegate Vivian Watts. Well, a longtime friend. She had her first term in the House of Delegates in 1982 when she was 3 years old. And she returned to the House after serving as Governor Belisle's Secretary of Transportation, 1986 to 1990. Her 39th district in Central Fairfax includes much of the Annandale region, and she currently serves on the Courts of Justice, Finance, and House Science and Technology committees. And through, I think, most of the 90s, she headed up the Fairfax County's court-appointed special advocates organization for abused and neglected children. So it's my privilege to introduce Delegate Vivian Watts.
Thanks. Good to see you. And the knees still work when I go down the stairs. That's the most important thing. In 2 minutes or less, 3 minutes or less, let me quickly jump in. Yes, it's transportation. Yes, it's also the economy, and therefore the general fund. You all must be engaged in the battle that Jim Scott just outlined, where there has been the very staunch position that we are not going to take from the the general fund. I'm sure Dick will speak about, thank goodness for Mississippi, so that we're not at the absolute bottom of a number of areas of funding. I'm going to jump into, however, one of my issues that I have been following for a number of years, making little progress, but I'll be putting the bill back in, where the focus is on the needs of those in nursing homes as well as those who need home services to remain in the most humane, dignified, effective setting. And again, not to mention the battle that we will have about whether we extend Medicaid. In Virginia, as a number of you have heard me say at this forum before, Virginia is one of the few states that has no nursing home staffing standards. And if we brought it up to the bare minimum, not what's recommended, but just 2.5 hours of direct care per day, and this is in Virginia, where you have to be very unable to live on your own, so you're going to often need to be fed or changed. 2.5 hours of direct care per day is an absolute minimum, ought to be 4 hours plus per day. And even at that level, it will require more than $25 million matched by the federal government for $50 million to bring all of our nursing homes up to even that standard. So I continue to put in the bill this year. I will be also putting in the bill emphasizing the need to provide in-home services as well. And yes, it is balanced out I was one of the few who voted against the total repeal of the estate tax for estates over $5 million taxable, estates preserving family businesses and farms. And so this is why it seems such a natural that if we really want to help at the later years in life, we ought to be looking at the needs of our senior citizens. So unusual, I haven't talked about transportation, but obviously I am extremely concerned, and I'm going to take 1/2 second to say, also be careful about any proposals that come out of the general fund, because that's just out of Virginia taxpayers, not out of the 30% that use our roads who do not live in the state. And also it comes much more out of Northern Virginia than the transportation funding, which is at only about 2/3 of the hit on Northern Virginia that the general fund is. Thank you very, very much, Steve, for letting me leave. Thank you.